We could predict when a payment was going to break down before it broke down.
There's a vast array of talent here. What we've got to do is couple that with the right opportunity.
The attitude that I love here in the North East, people believe you can do anything.
So hello and welcome to The North East Edge, brought to you by Newcastle University Business School, with me, Visiting Professor of Innovation and Enterprise, Charlie Holt, and my co-host, Dr. Fiona Whitehurst, Associate Dean of Engagement and Place. We're both interested in regeneration, social impact, and growing the North East economy from the edge of England, and looking at for those gems that are at leading edge in our region. So we're bringing a series of guests into the studio and our studio to our guests to talk about Newcastle region, past, present and future. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome, Jacqui, and welcome, Tom. I will do my formal introduction to you. So our first episodes have looked at the North East through the eyes of enterprise, politics and economic policy, regeneration policy. But this episode brings that conversation into the engine room of the modern economy: data, digital public services, technology jobs, and inevitably AI. So Jacqui Leggetter leads data platforms and operations within DWP Digital, and we'll hear a lot more about DWP Digital later. That's part of the UK's largest public service department, serving around 20 million customers, us citizens. Her teams help provide data for analytics, insight, audit, reporting and decision-making across a department operating at a national scale UK-wide. DWP's published data strategy sets out a 2023 to 2030 roadmap to modernise data use, improve services and support a goal to reduce costs by 20% over 5 years. Alongside Jacqui is Tom Lawson, CEO of Opencast, one of the North East's major technology consultancies and a trusted supplier to government, including DWP. Now with some 700 colleagues and offices here in Newcastle, in Byker, but also offices in Glasgow, Edinburgh, London, and hubs in Manchester, Bristol, Leeds, and Birmingham.
Yeah.
Tom became Opencast CEO in 2020, and the business has grown strongly in recent years. You were recognised in the 2024 Sunday Times 100, which is the prestigious annual ranking of Britain's fastest growing private companies. And you'd also, by that time, you'd been named as the fastest growing large tech business in the Northern Tech Awards in 2023. So together, Jacqui and Tom are going to help us to explore a crucial question. Can the North East, from that edge, become a serious national centre for public service technology, data and AI, not just as a branch, certainly not just as a branch office economy, but as a place that builds capability, talent and trust? So we have been discussing the potential of the North East and what sort of niches it has. So a question to Jacqui first and then to Tom. Are digital public services one of the North East's biggest practical opportunities to move the dial in the region?
I do think there's a great opportunity for us to become so. We have within DWP alone in Newcastle, we have a digital hub of over 1,000 digital experts. And those people are from product roles to engineering to DevOps to AI to data. So across the broad range of digital roles that you would expect, there is a significant opportunity for us to grow even further in the North East. And if we take that's one government department and we'll look at other departments that we share sites with, HMRC, with Ministry of Justice, with the Home Office, also large-scale digital hubs here in the North East. So I do think public services are already at some of the bleeding edge of technology. And we can talk through some examples of particularly where DWP have been working on retirement services, building out retirement services to be now operating in an online world, creating services that people maybe had preconceptions about older people can't use tech, and coming at it through a UCD lens and building technologies that people can interact with comfortably. Those are all built out of our Northeast hub here right in Newcastle. So I do think there's a massive opportunity for us within government and working with our partner organisations in the Northeast, of which Opencast is one, and offering the opportunity for people to work on really citizen impacting, nationwide impacting projects, not only within government, but also with our partners.
So the Northeast already on the map.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's the build I would probably add, is that you've got this long heritage now of the two biggest spending IT departments, HMRC and DWP, have significant presence here. And some of the systems and services that they look after, again, are some of the key ones that deliver the tax and benefit systems for the UK. And that expertise, a lot of that resides in region, primarily in the civil service, and a fantastic group of people who've all gone on a journey of growing their own skills to deliver that here. And then an ecosystem of suppliers, both in region and beyond, that come here in order to help deliver those services. So yeah, I think even just with those two big anchor departments, and there are a number of others that you could name as well, that has created a real centre of expertise, I think, for government technology in the region.
Could you give us, for our audience, Jacqui, a bit more of an explainer of DWP and DWP Digital? Because I think it is one of those hidden gems for the region. That you've 1,000 people. You also said there's 25,000 civil servants in the Northeast, which is a huge, a good chunk for the nation to have that many here. It's not like we're underrepresented by the civil service. We've got really good national civil service participation here. Yeah. What is DWP doing here, and what's DWP Digital doing?
Yeah, for sure. So within DWP itself, obviously we have civil servants based across the UK. DWP Digital is part of the overall DWP organisation. Our civil service base is out of digital hubs. So we have one of our main digital hubs is right here in Newcastle. We also have hubs in Leeds, Manchester, Sheffield, Birmingham, and down in London as well. And we also have a hub in Blackpool. So across a lot of those, we've got those city centre hubs, but there's also some of those that are outside of the city centres in some of the local regions where, like Newcastle, we've built up a nucleus of expertise, a nucleus of skills, and we've continued to grow that. And that's important to our journey of attracting people into the civil service. We have a really significant approach to bring in people through different routes and people through different social backgrounds as well, so that we're offering opportunity for all, and that we're offering a civil service that is reflective of the society that we serve. So in Newcastle in particular, where we have 1,000 of our roughly 6,000 people based, we have everything from entry level all the way to director level roles and everything in between.
You've got an apprentice scheme, is that?
Absolutely, yes. We're really, particularly for a lot of our engineering practices, we bring in apprentices and grow our own. So bringing in apprentices, we have grad schemes, we have internships, we have all of that available through our engineering practice. We do operate a practice model. So whether you're part of an engineering practice, a product practice, a delivery practice, there's lots of coaching and support on offer for people all the way from entry level up to exec and board level. And to see, when I first started in DWP Digital, I came on a project on secondment for 6 months from a small village in Scotland.
Wow.
over 25 years ago. And I think where I am now and the opportunities that have been offered to me here in the Northeast, I came on secondment and just never went back.
But you're a champion for all of those dimensions of diversity that are broader, deeper, more expansive than there ever have been. And DWP is a trailblazer in that.
Hugely. And I think those opportunities that we offer right here in the Northeast, so you don't need to move to London, you don't need to move down south, to have those opportunities here in the Northeast and to be working on those impactful projects. You see policy change from ministers on the news, on the national news, and we get to deliver the systems that underpin those government changes, and that's hugely rewarding and hugely exciting place to be.
But you've made things that were pieces of paper into systems, and then there are huge systems that are old that need to change, and then there are those policies. So it's a big project to digitally enable government.
Hugely.
And some of it is forward looking and some of it is renewing they call it tech debt, don't they?
Yeah.
The things that that are a legacy.
Yeah.
And you're involved in all of that because it's the data side that's mostly where you're working.
For sure. Tom and I were just talking about that when we came in, actually. We have, a challenge of balancing. You need to address the technical debt to get the new services out the door. And certainly when we started our journey in DWP, we've started from the user-facing systems and we've re-engineered all of that citizen experience. So it looks great from a citizen experience. Our older people and some of our non-tech savvy people can interact with our services. Under the hood, it's a bag of spanners. Somebody's going to kill me for saying that. But
not all of it, Jacqui, not all of it.
Some of it is not pretty because some of it is legacy. And of course, that's a constraint on how we can get the best from our data, how we can use the data to help faster, more accurate decision making.
Every system is old on the day it's launched, isn't it?
Exactly,
and so you've got things that are still working.
Yeah.
But is that where the data strategy comes in, that you need a layer to be able to...
Yeah, so the data strategy forms up how we use data, one of the things that has grown up over time is we get lots of people collecting the same data multiple times and it's held in multiple systems, therefore it's inconsistent. And it's sometimes, it makes it hard to make accurate data-driven decisions because you're not sure which data set to believe. So there's a lot of work going into as part of the data strategy on getting the data once, using it many times. So combining the data strategy with our digital strategy, it's one and the same thing, is bringing our data in, getting insights from all of the data that we hold, regardless as to what system it's held in. We can see it, we can use that data to help inform which routes we need to take with our citizens and help inform making those accurate decisions. So we're balancing a need to address the technical debt while we roll out new services. And a lot of that is through building what I call Lego brick architecture. So building that loosely coupled architecture, loosely coupled systems where we can separate the back-end data stores from the front-end user-facing nice clean screens.
Yes.
And if we can separate that through robust integration layers, through enterprise integration, we can start to decouple the monoliths that makes it easier to change, easier to adapt, and we can start to pick off and address the technical debt through interim cloud moves, manage it bit by bit, and it looks impossible. It's invisible to the end user, it's invisible to the citizens because we've already transformed their layer and we're now working through transforming the back end layers. There's a huge...
Because your views are heavily dependent on the systems. Because it's where they get their benefits from or their pension or all of those things. Yes.
And there is a bit of, some of these systems have been running for 20 years and there's a nervousness around, they've locked in 20 years worth of policy, 20 years worth of benefit rules, 20 years worth of payments. So the challenge for us is deconstructing those monoliths and taking them a little bit at a time. And one of the core projects that we worked with Opencast on actually was in the integration space. So taking it a bit at a time and building our strategic integration space through leveraging APIs, data streaming events, etc., that helps to build that decoupling layer has been hugely impactful, and it's enabling us to now tackle sensibly the 20 years of technical debt, because we can deconstruct, we can build modern microservices, we can build services in the knowledge that we're going to use large language model processing and AI across the top of them, because it wouldn't work in our current, the way our current service is hosted. So we've got all of those future requirements in our build as we remediate our technical debt.
And that's your team who are envisioning how all that can happen from a combo of here in Newcastle and the rest of the UK?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. So working with the Newcastle teams and with the teams in the other digital hubs, and coming up with our patterns and our plans, and then executing the delivery. And it's great when we come together in Newcastle as a team. We tend to meet round the hubs, and we've got great location, great space, and yeah, it's there's a real vibe when you come in to the hub. It's a little bit like Holt's Yard. You feel the vibe when you go in, don't you?
Yeah.
Is the coffee as good?
I'm not sure. That's part of you. But.
So the
Coffee wars.
the whole and there's an ecosystem of partners, and maybe we can turn to Tom as our example partner, declaring an interest. I'm involved in the business as well, but it is, you can't do it all on your own, and but you also don't want to necessarily have everything in house, because you can pick and choose from different partners.
Yeah.
What's your sense of supporting that kind of activity, Tom?
Well, firstly, I'd definitely draw on the sort of privilege of being involved in that work. You know, to impact at citizen scale is a big thing that I suppose we trade on, and it's what we offer our people. They're excited to do that, and the opportunity to do that with Gov is something that we really love. Sometimes IT projects can feel quite intangible, whereas as Jacqui said, there are things that are in the news and you can point to and say, yeah, we helped change that. So I think that's a really important aspect for us, is being able to work in an environment that has that impact. And so then it's really, the technical challenge is very interesting. And as Jacqui said, there's a lot of quite cutting edge stuff that does go on. Sometimes the civil service probably doesn't have that reputation, but the scale of the technology, the complexity of it, and the legacy of it, all of that brings a lot of technical interest and challenge, which is very, very, I think a really exciting place for people to work. And then for us and for many of the other partners too, it is about making sure you're leaving that legacy so that our clients and the civil service can take on those projects and run them themselves, run those systems, services for the future. So a big part of what we also enjoy doing is helping upskill. And I think that's been a really good feature of the way contracting between government and private partners has gone over the years, that expectation is much more built in. And that creates, as you were pointing to, Charlie, it's the civil service can then come and pick from the best of the private sector when they need it, but they're not completely locked in and dependent. I think that's been a really important change over the last sort of 10, 15 years particularly.
Yeah, we definitely moved away from the old outsourcing model to a pivot of working in partnership, bringing in technical expertise, learning from, and also spiking work as well. There is so much work to go around that we'll work with different partners and different specialisms. We drop what's on the pay slip. When you come in the door, everybody's working for the department, everybody's working for the outcome, shared goals, shared outcomes, shared missions. So I think it feels good, even as a supplier organisation working in the department, you feel embedded with a mission, you feel committed to the outcome. You feel, fully immersed in what we're trying to achieve. I think that's fair to say, Tom.
100%. And you've pointed to it there. It's very multi-supplier. And so the teams are quite rich environments where you've got all manner of different skills and backgrounds coming into that. So I think it's a good construct, and and back to the links to the region, that as a learning environment and for skills and the development of skills, and that staying here, is a really,
I want to hear about the leadership of that, but I also want to turn to the university aspects, because we're talking about big employers in the region, and there's a skills need, and the university has a place in that. And I know that both your organisations collaborate and support university stuff. I don't know whether that's a perspective that you bring.
Definitely, because I think more and more the universities are working closely with regional businesses and the civil service in the North East. I know that the North East Civil Service has been keen to do that and to maybe formalise year-long placements for university students, which has been an amazing opportunity for our students. I think that lots of them applied and they're just nervously waiting to hear the outcomes at the moment. But that's the kind of thing that you can do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if we think about the scale and size of the civil service, it goes way beyond tech. So there is the opportunity to do those year-long placements in legal professions, in accounting professions, finance professions, and then in the tech profession itself. So we have an engineering practice who are very proactive in trying to get out into university open days, etc., and trying to encourage local students to come and work locally. You don't have to go, you don't have to travel. If you're here at university in Newcastle or you live in Newcastle, there's a hub right on your doorstep. And I do think that people probably aren't aware in the region of the scale and size of the hub. So when DWP Digital pitches up, because we're government, we don't have all the giveaways, we don't have the fancy mugs and all of that.
We've got the mugs
and you can take that your mug with you.
So it's sometimes attracting students to come to the internship can be challenging, when actually you can talk to them about the work. It's the work itself that's the attraction. It's the ability to get in and do that work placement and work on some of those big, meaningful projects for a year is hugely motivating for students.
Definitely.
And hugely experiential, because they're landed into teams, and part of our partner model is our internships are no different to our permanent or partner people. You'll operate in a team of experts who will coach you, support you, and get you through that year placement. Those that we do put through that year placement often come back to us as a graduate for permanent recruitment. And of course, the civil service fast stream programme is a flagship programme in the country. So we do find people come back to us either through that or just through open job adverts as well.
And I think one of the things when we were sort of, as we were speaking to people when they were trying to do that sort of multi-department year-long placement, and somebody was saying, but we can't offer a guaranteed job after. It's like, not many of the private companies can either. Some of them do, but not many can. So, and I think that getting that work experience is so important, because the graduate job market is not easy at the, well, that's an understatement and a half. Not easy at the moment. So
I read a statistic. I don't know if it was true, but I read a statistic that for every grad scheme, there's 8,000 grads.
Are applying.
I read one saying that, and the applicants are all, a lot of them are also over 30. So that the
One have been waiting.
The applications are including people who are looking at those jobs as being interesting, who are way further on.
It's really challenging, I think, for young people in particular. And I talk a lot about this. We have a lot of people career changing, and that's amazing because you bring an experience with people who want to change careers. But sometimes it's the expense of younger people in that 18 to 25 age group that are looking for that first experience. And it's challenging when they're in the same competition as people who have lived experience in 10 years in the industry, perhaps who are role changing as opposed to being new. It's hugely challenging. And the statistics again show, you know, amongst our young people in those entry level roles, it's hugely challenging for them. The year placement and the internships go a long way to helping the students get that lived experience to give them a little bit of a competitive edge. But
and I know that we do a lot with Opencast because actually we had to. The Opencast had this room booked. I don't know whether it was Esther or not. And we had to sort of pull rank a bit and sort of send them off to...
We wanted the best view.
They wanted it. We wanted
James's
the
Park.
Yes. But yeah, so we're doing lots of stuff with Opencast, aren't we, in terms of, you know, mock assessment centres, because I think that kind of thing is, again, much more challenging, but also... people coming in to work with our business analytics students and just give them a feel for data challenges.
And look, it's a really interesting challenge for us as well, because we go into organisations to provide expertise. The expectations from the organisations we work with are that we're turning up with experienced people. So actually, we have to find some different ways in which we can make an impact at that entry level. So we look into our core functions where it's in sort of technical roles, for ways in which we can bring in early careers people. We look to reach out to schools or universities, do work there. So we want to contribute to that. That does sometimes have its challenges just based on the context that we work in. So it's
but Opencast also has adult work experience.
That's been an amazing program, bringing people from all over the country who come and want to come and experience working in the organisation. So we run a program over a week with them, and that's been fantastic. And we've done some career switcher stuff, and people who are returning to the tech industry after long absence. Actually, that's something we do try and look for in applications, because there can be some amazing people who've just had that gap in their CV, and that could be through caring responsibilities, or they've had children, or all manner of life events have happened, but that shouldn't stop them coming back into the workforce.
And we've had in the blended teams where we have brought in apprentices at entry level working alongside some of our supplier partner experts and helping us coach and bring on the entry level apprentices. So there's a lot of value added by us being able to bring experts in and grow our own, and that's part 100%. Of our strategy for rolling off, where we can bring people in at that entry level, get them upskilled, get them trained, and then we start to get that less reliance. So it's working in that sort of ecosystem on the ground, and that's why the partnership and the blended team model works really well for us, because it helps us get the job done, and it helps us bring in our talent of the future and get them at that ground level and grow that talent as well.
And how much of that has been your leadership to move the organisation into seeing the value of that sort of thing? You must collectively work, but also individually have to work hard on it. Yeah,
definitely. I think as we were setting up our digital function, there was certainly a resistance to, you have a defined headcount. If I can only have 10 people on the team, how many of those can be new people with no skills? I need 10 people who are highly skilled. I think as we've built our digital function, we can absorb, hundreds of apprentices within the people who we have now.
Wow.
But yeah, it's taken us a bit of time to get there, to be fair. We set ourselves targets. So we try to give individual targets for at least 10% of our workforce will be at that apprenticeship or internship level. So we try to, and DWP is, you think what we're all about is helping people into work. If we can't do it, who can? So we try to, at team level, set ourselves some of those targets, and certainly for me, I set my managers those targets, and we look and appraise where we can bring in apprentices safe. But there is an element, there is an overhead to it. And you have to be able to have, for it to be successful, you have to have the right skills in place to be able to support those apprentices, because it's a huge learning curve for people, whether they're career changes or young people. So again, making sure you've got depth of skill, working not only with our permanent capability, but with our partners who are always willing to lean in. It's hugely rewarding seeing somebody walk in the door as a fresh-faced newbie to actually becoming a highly skilled DevOps engineer. When they go for promotions, when they go for advancement, it's amazing. And I do think that when you get people in at that grassroots level, they become wedded to your mission at a young age. They're not somebody who's jumping roles for ticking the box on the career pathway or salary boxes. You're actually getting them to buy in, to use an organisation.
Because it's so kind of official and secret and a bit challenging, some of the work that you're doing. Does that make it a bit harder to blow your own trumpet?
I guess
in terms of getting the profile out there to kind of explain what you're...
Certainly in the cybersecurity world, yes.
Right.
So I know that a lot of the young kids, we do... we reach out to the local schools, as Tom mentioned before, to offer work placement weeks for sixth form students, and everybody's interested in cyber.
Was that hacking?
Absolutely. So they want to do. We always do a bit of a session on ethical hacking and red team testing and all of that. But yeah, there is a limit. We obviously would do a lot of work on a national scale with national security. We work very, very closely, given the data that we hold, the amount of data that we hold. We work very closely with both the National Cybersecurity Centre and the Cyber Resilience Centre. And cybersecurity is front and centre of everything that we do. And a lot of that we can't talk about, but we have some really funky roles in cybersecurity.
Because all of the data that you look after is in the UK.
Absolutely,
and
100%.
Very little of it is in the cloud, or it's moving to. We have,
I guess, within our operational services, a lot of our data is in the cloud. Within our data warehousing, where we've got really significant 30 years worth of data held, is largely on-premise, but we are migrating it to cloud, and that's where security becomes really front and centre of everything that we do, getting into really niche areas like cryptography, encryption, obfuscation, understanding all the difference between all of those. So hugely challenging future for us in the cybersecurity space, and how to keep that data safe but still usable. Because if we lock it away so nobody can use it, then it's of no good to us. So.
Well, you talked a little bit earlier about LLMs, as in the sort of building blocks of AI.
Yeah.
Are you looking towards the future of AI? Working with partners on that as well?
Yeah, hugely, hugely. So there's a lot of us working through. In fact, we talked to one of your teams today, Tom, about building what we call entity views. So thinking about all of the data that we hold, a lot of it's unstructured and a lot of it is structured, but how do we make sense of it all? How do we turn it into business value? So understanding things like the household as a unit, the family as a unit, the children as a family unit, etc., is hugely important to us and can help us make good decisions faster. So using large language model processing and AI to scrape up all the data that we have across lots of different services and building the right LLM frameworks with a bit of AI on the top can hugely help us. So we have really strong aspirations to do some of that. We've got a really good vision for doing some of that. We have implemented the first scaled AI out of our child maintenance team based here in Newcastle, actually.
Yes, yes.
So in our child maintenance, we're looking at supporting parents who have separated, making sure that the payment from the absent parent to the parent with the care of the children stays on time. That's the difference between being able to pay for school dinners and not paying for school dinners, right? So what they did was they introduced some predictive analytics and running large language models in AI to predict when payments might break down.
Right.
And
we're talking tens of millions of people or several millions of people?
Tens of thousands of people in the child maintenance space. And what we found was that by using that process, we could predict when a payment was going to break down before it broke down. And just a nudge to the absent parent to say, this payment we believe this is on a track to break down. Do you need help? Do you need support? What do you need to make sure that payment is maintained? And that's how it was tested and tried and is now implemented at scale. Wow. And they found that actually now it was an improvement of something like 94% of payments that would have broke down are now not breaking down because of that early intervention. So we're seeing that operate at scale.
That was a new AI tool.
Yeah.
And is Opencast, we can't say who did those projects because you don't sort of necessarily, but Opencast also is wrestling with the foothills of AI. Where are you seeing that? Just to give us an example of a regional company that is getting AI projects, AI challenges and nailing it.
Yeah, well, we've got, likewise, we'll have to be a little careful on the client side stuff. So I'll talk more about us actually. And it's the same steps that we've got to go through as an organisation, which is how do you make sure you've got all of your data in the right state to be able to leverage it, so that the right people can see the right things and not the wrong things, and then putting in place the models on top of that will allow you to extract value from it, and that'll be both for us in how we run really productively and efficiently, but also how we then help clients to do that. So how do we help clients get to value quicker? So whether it's in the design phases of a project or the delivery of it, it's getting that balance right. And I think for us, what we've got to be really, really careful with though is given the context that we work in, it's that balance of what can AI do safely, where do humans need to be in the loop, and getting that blend right so that we don't introduce unnecessary risk into public services. Because as Jacqui said, if you think about who DWP are dealing with, these are already at times quite vulnerable people, and decision making that could adversely impact those people needs to be carefully considered, managed, and done in a very thoughtful way. So
you've got to be responsible.
Yeah,
in the way that you deploy this new tool that's got a lot of hype about it.
And we kind of see AI as an assistant to a person as opposed to a replacement for a person, and it's really challenging because I think when AI kind of broke out onto we've been using AI for years, right? But the new AI, the new generative AI broke out. I think we had 3 people self-declare they were the head of AI for government. And none of them actually were, because there had been no formal appointment. And it was a bit of a tool looking for a problem to solve, and we were hearing, we must use AI, we must use AI. But I think that's started to settle down a bit now, and actually, as Tom says, finding the right use cases, the right purpose. And we've spent a lot of time in government looking at the ethical framework, not falling into something blindly, not decision making and automated decision making is really challenging. So for me, there is something about moving cautiously and purposely, and being really aware. And you're looking at the what could go wrong before you're ever get into the what could go right. And it needs to be, it's another tool in our toolbox to help us solve problems, to help us move faster. We've operated, as I think a lot of organisations have, Copilot, AI, It's an amazing thing. At the end of a meeting, wrapping up the minutes of the meetings, wrapping up the actions, I can get the Copilot. My office will give me a Copilot summary of my emails at the end of every day. Saves me reading the individual. That is so impactful.
Yes.
Those types of assistant things, hugely impactful. We actually don't talk about that because we're all doing it now, and it maybe doesn't feel sexy enough. But actually, it's hugely impactful for me to get that summary across, because I get about 300 emails a day, and not knowing
huge
what
productivity gain, isn't it? To be able to focus on the right things and spend the right amount of time, I think, on the right.
But there will also be that pull for the clients, if you want to call them, they will be using that, and then there will be frustration, as there was with every other wave, the fax machine, the internet, the mobile phone, to say, why can't I get my benefits or my tax return using the tools? But that's where government can get beaten up for being maybe behind if there isn't that in the pathway. But you're saying you're painfully aware of that. You just got to make sure that it's done right.
We just have to be safe.
There's also that conspiracy theory in mind that the government doesn't really want to pay out, whereas what you're trying to do is make sure that the money goes to the right places.
Absolutely right. I think that, transparency is really key here. We're trusted with citizens' data. It's not our data. The data belongs to the citizen. And it's important that government remains trusted by citizens to hold the data, and also to use the data responsibly. And I think there is probably a misunderstanding that government can do anything they like with the data. We're actually subject to the same GDPR rules and regulations that everybody in the country is. But it is really important that we're transparent about what we're doing with people's data. We're transparent about where we are using AI, even where we're using automated decision making. It's really important that we are fully transparent with citizens, and that's why there is a register that's owned by the Information Commissions Officer, and we must put any use on that register to be completely transparent. And that helps us hold the mirror up to ourselves. That helps us say, are we doing the right things for the right reasons in the right way? And you're right, there is a misconception that all we want to do is capture fraud. All we want to do is not pay out the right amount of money. We genuinely, I would say, people that work in the DWP are genuinely wedded to the mission of helping and supporting citizens. We would love to have zero fraud and error in our system so that we could focus 100% of our effort on coaching and helping and supporting people into work or into better jobs. People forget universal credit is an in-work benefit. It's not just for people who are unemployed, it's for people who are in low income, who want to move into perhaps better jobs, better income, etc. So our work coach community, that is our real value add service. So whether you're on health benefits, universal credit benefits, we want to take less time on processing paper, on processing applications, and increase the time that we can actually spend with citizens on offering training opportunities, learning opportunities, advancement, promotion, and really helping people improve their lives. I know that sounds like a flash line, but it's genuinely why people do what they do. And without the underpinning systems that help free up that time, we've just become too expensive a business to run.
Yes. But technology is there in an endeavour to modernise and improve those the productivity internally, and so that more money can be used to support people in need. Yeah,
exactly. AI will never replace those in-person services. They were always going to be needed, and that's really where we want to focus more of our energy.
And are there other spots of innovation across the piece?
Huge innovation. So in addition to some of the AI innovation lab, we do have an innovation lab up and running. We are hugely innovative in addressing our technical debt. So we've got a lot of our systems that have sat on our VME estate for a long, long time. We're doing
what does VME stand for?
It's our virtual machine environment.
Right.
So it literally goes back. Yeah, most people listening to this won't know what that is. Let's just say on-prem, dedicated virtual machine environment databases. And trying to break free of systems that have been running stable for 20 years.
Yes.
There's a lot of innovation going on how we migrate off those.
Because they are going to break and blow up and never work again, or?
Probably not, because they've been working for 20 years, but how they operate isn't optimum. It's not cost effective.
Skills as well. There's
Skills
a lot
are
of
dying off.
Skills.
Right.
Yeah.
People are literally retiring or dying
exactly.
off.
Hopefully not dying.
Sadly.
We'll talk about retiring.
But no, some of it is that.
And also the
what you could do
storage
with that
layers are
huge
inflexible.
box now you could stick on a PC or
Exactly.
Yes.
And the storage layer is inflexible, so you can't run AI across the top. You couldn't run large language models against how they're stored now. So getting them into cloud, we're also paying for dedicated kit, right? So getting them into cloud obviously is more optimum. It gives us more flexibility, and deconstructing. These are all monolithic systems that do everything from capturing the first contact all the way to putting a payment out the door. So by deconstructing them, there's a lot of clever work going on, and certainly in my own data warehousing space, we're moving from that traditional monolithic, tightly coupled warehouse into a lakehouse architecture. So
that's a data lake. Is that,
yes. Absolutely. Building federated, connected data platforms that can be seen through a single pane of glass without it all being held in one place. And using all of the new technologies and the innovation and how we do large-scale data migration. There's hundreds of terabytes of data to move from one platform to another. How do we do that safely?
That you mustn't lose, you mustn't break, must still be, making it more accessible than it ever was.
And must still be used to operate the systems so that people get
exactly. And also there's a lot of the data that we have in DWP that feeds into our national statistics.
Charlie, you were talking about wanting to move on to the sort of leadership and inclusion and talent. So, Jacqui, what helped you progress as a senior woman in data and digital leadership?
For me, we have a really proactive women's network group in DWP, and particularly in Digital Group. We go way beyond that, though. We specifically look at when we do work placement weeks across our hubs, particularly in areas like Manchester, Sheffield and Birmingham. We do outreach to schools that would be perhaps in non-traditional areas that would consider a career in the civil service. So we're reaching into those kind of lower socioeconomic areas and inviting people in, and we try to do a lot to open up social inclusion and offer up opportunity. And we've had some real successes in partnering with some of the colleges in particular, where we can bring in people for work placements, T-level students, and doing the T-level student placements really offers up real life experience for some of the young people that would never have thought about a career in the civil service, let alone a career in digital.
How was it? How hard was it for you to be something of a trailblazer in all of that?
Not too challenging for me, but it is challenging to find the time and make the time and get other people to give the time. And I think we still talk a lot about allyship and sponsorship, and it's hugely important to us. And certainly in DWP, we've had some really great senior sponsors, senior allies of all of the initiatives that we do. Our work placement scheme, we had the ministers come and visit that, and it was so impactful being able to promote that. So I think that we're genuinely supported. There's always more you can do. Personally, my career has been through a bit of an up and down over the years. And, you know, way back at the beginning of my career in digital, I was often the only woman in the room. I was often the one that was excluded from the going to drinks after work because it was a game of pool in a man's club. Thankfully, we've moved a long way from there. It's usually me that's doing the invites now.
You choose.
Hence why we're waiting.
It's not going to be snooker tonight.
Hence why we can't wait to get into the city centre in Newcastle. Those moves.
Yes, the whole office is going to be there.
Yeah, I think we're about to, over the next 2 years, dump about 10,000 civil servants in the middle of the city centre. So I hope that's going to be great for the city. And I hope it raises our profile, because a lot of us are based on the big hub at Benton Park View. And it's really interesting because people go, oh, well, I knew the civil service were in there, but I thought it was all boring stuff. When we open up and share some of our spaces, they're like, oh my God, it's like working in Google when we've got all the brightly coloured furniture and all of the collaboration spaces. We've invested a lot in our space to support the agile development, agile ways of working, etc. And I think the move into the city centre will help promote us as an employer of choice. Because I think we see, you know, a lot of graduates looking at our partner organisations, not thinking about, our first step might actually be going direct into the civil service as well. So I'm hoping that will be an attraction and people will become more aware of who we are when they're on their way into the stack on a Friday night.
But when you bid for partner tenders, you also have to score on social impact, diversity and inclusion. I know that's something as an organisation that you have fostered in a big way, starting there and then being able to work across, because it's good for business, but it's also good for supporting citizen services.
Yeah, I think it's why I think the sort of the civil service as a client base for us is so important. It's something that our people want in terms of the type of company they want to work for, where those things are viewed as being important. And as you say, they are part of the formal scoring and award of work to you know, quite rightly, to work with government. So yeah, we put a big emphasis on that. We, as you know, we decided to then become a B Corp, which was a kind of further validation of that as a set of principles which we hold true. And yeah, we see that very much as kind of part of our DNA. And it definitely then helps in being able to explain that story and hopefully convince government departments to work with us on their challenges.
So
we've got quick fire questions.
We have.
Yes.
So should we do them in? We'll do them to Jacqui first, and then to Tom. So. Now this is quite interesting for because there are lots of Scottish phrases that I absolutely adore, but what is one Northeast phrase, habit or attitude you love?
I guess the attitude that I love here in the Northeast is the can do. People believe you can do anything. Yeah, the can-do attitude here in the North, it's second to none, and I love the positivity and friendliness. I love it.
What one thing do you think outsiders misunderstand about the Northeast?
I genuinely believe that people think that people from the northeast are still a bit flat cap and greyhounds. I don't think we're often seen as the professional outfit of people who we are, and that we bring a huge amount of skill, capability, and professionalism to any market, and particularly in the digital market. And the more we can promote that, the better.
What advice would you give your 21-year-old self?
Go for it. Absolutely go for it. We tend to, particularly women in tech, we tend to overanalyze the job description and kind of fit it 100%. And I've not done that. I've not got experience of that, so I'll not go for it. But absolutely, be brave and go for it. There's nothing to lose.
What one Northeast business, institution or place should more people know about?
St James's Park across the road. If you don't know about it, you should know about it. If you've never been to it, you need to go to it. And especially if you can get there on a match day, it is such an atmosphere and amazing. So yeah, that would be my place.
One thing the region should be braver about?
Going in the North Sea.
For a swim.
The coastline up the northeast is absolutely amazing. And I feel privileged to be able to live 15 minutes from the city and 15 minutes from the coast. I'm equidistant, and I have 3 very energetic dogs who like nothing better than going to the coast and having a jump in the sea. I go in about to my ankles, and I'd love to be braver. But yeah, I think getting out more and enjoying the northeast. I'd like to see more people do more of that, supporting those local businesses up and down the coast as well, because they have it pretty hard sometimes. So I love that.
So we won't expect you to remember the question, so we'll ask you them.
No, that's fine, yeah.
Northeast phrase, habit or attitude you love?
Shy Burns getting out is my favourite. I think it speaks to some of the themes Jacqui talked to there. I think you've got to go out and push for the things that you want, and that are right for the region, etc. And I think that spirit is really important if we're going to succeed. So yeah, it's one of my favourites, that one.
And what one thing do outsiders misunderstand about the Northeast? Yeah,
it's not dissimilar theme. I think there's a vast array of talent here, and actually increasingly we're proving we can attract talent into the region. What we've got to do is couple that with the right opportunity to create the sort of powerful ecosystems of employers that will keep people here and keep that flow going. So yeah, I think it's always amusing when people perhaps have those historic views of what the city might be like compared to some of the people who are here and what they're doing, which is some really quite very intelligent, high-end sort of jobs, and I think it's fascinating where that can take us.
And what advice would you give your 21-year-old self?
To really think about your own network and about how powerful, and invest in that like non-stop, because that will be so powerful for you in your career. I think I was lucky enough to kind of figure some of that out, but I think I would have turbocharged myself even further in that regard had I been thinking about that earlier.
We'll definitely clip that one to promote our sort of events where we're wanting to get people to engage more with employers, and sometimes some people just get it, and some people just, nah, that's not for me. So
yeah, a massive thing.
One Northeast business, institution or place that more people should know about?
Well, Opencast, obviously. but
and DWP Digital.
But I think it is this cluster that we have in the region of expertise in delivering for government, and that's not just us. We are good, but there are others out there, as you said earlier, but equally that combination of the skills up here in government technology, I think is a bit of a hidden gem, and it's really important for the future of public services.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was a collaborative point of yours. It doesn't matter where who you're sort of paid by to work for.
Yes.
When you come into a DWP team, it's one team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
really powerful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one thing the region should be braver about.
I think putting a bit of a stamp on that and a badge on it and laying claim to that as something that we should do potentially even more of. I think it is something that there's deep expertise in, and we could become more famous for that, and use the skills that are in region again. Keep them here.
I think that's a really good point, Tom. I think about the actually the Northeast having a brand of being an expert tech hub. We don't see that very often. We all promote our own tech excellence, but actually collectively, when you look at the amount of tech companies that exist in the Northeast, we're a significant sized tech industry, a significant sized tech hub.
And particularly when you ground it in that kind of whether it's health or government, sort of public digital as well. I think that's a really great place for us to.
So that I suppose that edge, the Northeast edge in that area, because it's niches that people don't necessarily understand or know about.
Yeah, it's in the thousands of, there are thousands of people doing that up here, but I bet if you asked most people, they wouldn't know.
That more people will know once you move into, is it One Pilgrim Place?
Yes, well, we're all moving into, so HMRC and DWP moving into Pilgrim Place, starting from the end of this year, completing end of next year,
And you've already got your Greggs.
More sandwich shops than we know what to do with. It's a different one each day.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
It's been a really
Thank
fascinating
you.
conversation and a chance to put it on record and to broadcast it a bit further. Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.